Good morning, this is Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is the pre-market webinar for the morning of Tuesday, the 8th of July. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing and learn from it, transfer it to your own charts. I'm not here to issue trading signals. Right. Okay, let's have a look at ES, where we got down to the 30 level. We didn't have a buy sell signal, but we moved down to the 30 level, and we did almost made it on NQ. We did make it on RTY, where we had a signal which had failed, and the one that hadn't failed was on YM, and that reached target yesterday. So we're out of the sell signals on the shorter term charts, well, on the hourly futures charts, but we do have now 3 hourly RSI 14 sell signals fixed on SPX and on the Qs and on Dia. So I am thinking we might go down a little further. We will see how that goes. Looking at DAX and the STX, we've got a tiny bit of negative divergence here on DAX, but this looks as though it's about to go and try and make the retest of this high, which obviously it's been waiting to do for a couple of weeks. Same with the STX. If they can hold above the monthly pivot, then it looks doable. All right, looking at the bigger picture, and one other thing on the bigger picture, one thing I was mentioning yesterday as a likely issue was obviously the fact that the 90-day tariff pause comes to an official stop tomorrow. We did have some comments from the Trump administration over the weekend that that deadline wasn't changing, and this whole load of letters would be sent out. But it does appear now that people have until the 1st of August, so that's another 3 weeks. So we will see how that develops. Okay, looking at the bigger picture, obviously we've seen a bit of a retracement here. I'm not really expecting to see a test of the daily middle band. I've got that at 6085, and that would involve dropping not 140 points, because obviously it's moving target and it's moving up, but nonetheless a significant amount. We could do that, but I'm not seeing anything at the moment particularly to expect that. We do have an RSI 14 sell signal fixed here on the hourly chart. We've got one on the Qs as well. We've got one on Dia as well, and there's a pretty good chance, I think, that these are likely to play out. So I'm thinking we're probably going to see some more weakness, but I'm not seeing an awful lot to suggest that's going to be particularly extensive. All we've seen really is a bit of a drop this week so far on the weekend news that the tariffs weren't going to be delayed past July the 9th. Now it appears everyone's got another 3 weeks. I'm expecting, in all probability, that will calm down again. All right, let's have a look at DX. DX, we're trying to break up from this inverted head and shoulders here. Looks pretty nice, pretty obvious and decent target up here in about the 98.15 area, and obviously that's not a bad match with declining resistance. So I'm favouring that. We are testing the monthly pivot at the moment at 97.32, and so far that's been decent resistance. We'll see whether that holds. ZB, this isn't looking as much like a bull flag as it was looking yesterday. I am thinking, though, that normally I'd expect to see some kind of a reversal pattern here. We do have potentially a little head and shoulders here, which is already largely played out, but I'd kind of be looking generally for a larger one. We'll see how that goes. We've got a possible 60-minute buy signal brewing. I am wondering still about a potential retest of this high. Looking at ZN, getting down towards the trendline support, no current positive divergence. Looking at CL, no current negative divergence. Still kind of looks like a bear flag forming. HO, this went beyond bear flag territory and obviously is well above the monthly pivot, but it's still there at slightly more than the 50% retracement of this move from the high to the low. So I am wondering about retest the low across the board on all of these. Hey George, so we're testing the monthly pivot on RBOB. And if I'm right, that's probably going to be respected and hold as resistance. So we'll see. Right, NG. We've got a potential double bottom here. I'm actually leaning towards this going lower, but I'm mentioning the double bottom because, well, it's there. So I'm thinking this is probably going to continue going down, but we will see. If we see a sustained breakup over the weekly pivot, that would open a potential test of the double bottom resistance in the 3.575 area. All right, looking at GC, still kicking around just under the monthly pivot. This needs to get over the monthly pivot and convert it, really. I'm still concerned about the head and shoulder patterns on palladium and on platinum. Silver still holding the line. This double top obviously has mostly failed already. I don't think it would be a big leap to think it's going to head up and fail altogether and retest this high. And I've got potential targets in the 38 to 39 area. Looking at Palladium, Palladium, very nice looking double top, which I'm watching with a bit of concern. Very platinum, the same. HG hasn't quite made it down to the rising support trend line. I am wondering about a retest of the big high at 5.34. Okay, looking at the euro, not seeing anything that really looks like a reversal pattern here yet. Possible head and shoulders forming, I suppose. Normally, I'd be leaning towards seeing a retest of the high. We'll see. GBP USD, wondering about a potential bull flag forming here too. USD JPY, this has seen quite a lot of upside over the last day, and actually we've got a 60-minute sell signal fixed. Sorry, I didn't spot that when I was going through this morning. Hasn't delivered anything yet. USD CAD, still wondering about a possible retest of this low. This one here. Looking at Australian dollar. Possible topping action, I guess. NZ is trying to break down from a head and shoulders with a target in about the 59.30 area. KC is continuing down at the moment, and I think we've passed the stage where I'd be thinking that this is a potential underthrow of this falling megaphone pattern. Obviously, by historical standards, coffee is, to say the least, very richly valued. So I wouldn't be astonished if it continued going down. We've got a 60-minute buy signal fixed, but it really hasn't delivered anything so far. SB, I'm still wondering about a possible test of this declining resistance, which I've got currently at about 16.55 area. Obviously, we've made the first of the double bottom targets. This is actually quite a nice megaphone. So the obvious next target is to test this trend line. 60-minute buy signal has reached the possible near miss target. Looking at CC, still got a potential decent looking double bottom here, which I'm watching. I would not be astonished at all if this just continued down instead. CT, we've got a head and shoulders, which is now broken down with a target to retest this low here at 66.25 area. On lumber, still thinking on the bigger picture, this looks like a bear flag forming. On ZW, we had a strong spike up and then we had a strong spike down. We haven't come back and retested the low yet. I am wondering if we're going to do that. On corn, we have retested the low. This could potentially be the second low of a double bottom. But as I said, I generally expect to see wheat retest the low, and it hasn't managed that yet. On soy, we're also pretty close to the low, and I'd be leaning towards seeing that too. I've got that low in about the 1012.5 area. On soybean oil, possible small reversal pattern forming here, but really this hasn't been going down with soy as I would have expected it to. Live cattle, we've broken up from the inverted head and shoulders. It's been forming for a week or two, and that's got a target at a retest of this high here in about the 220.5 area. And lean hogs, we've got this head and shoulders, which is broken down and has just basically just gone sideways since. We've got a weak 60-minute buy signal, hasn't delivered anything so far. All right, great. Let's have a quick look at questions. Right, looking at ES, we've got 60-minute sell signals fixed on the RSI 14s for SPX on Qs and Dia. Normally, I'd expect those to play out. Having said that, if we went back and retested the highs from here, that wouldn't fail any of those signals, I don't think. But I'm leaning against seeing a strong move up this week. It's not that we haven't got the nice historical stats, it's just that most of all the main US indices are too close to the 3SD upper bands. So I'd be leaning against seeing that. Also, we're seeing an awful lot of talk from the administration this week of various kinds. This tends to be not great for the market. But at least yesterday, the 9th of July deadline was extended through to the 1st of August. So that's no longer as much of a concern. We shall see. And there'll be some very relieved penguins, I am certain, today. That's although there's still a little again for the 1st of August. So, I'm sure we will. Our thoughts are all with them. All right, great. In that case, I think it's a wrap. My pleasure as always, guys, and I'll catch you tomorrow.